Hey, friends. So let's talk about something sounds boring. The essential ingredients to $1 million practice. Yeah, it sounds kind of boring, but I'm going to tell you, this is hot stuff if you want to build $1 million practice. And let me give you some of the numbers behind that. Less per my Google search, less than 1% of chiropractic offices ever reach the $1 million per year revenue mark. Whoa, that's kind of in line with a lot of actually small businesses, not just chiropractics in particular. A lot of small businesses struggle to reach the seven-figure mark, even with inflation, when it should be getting a little easier. Anyway, so uh, what's cool is I have had the wonderful opportunity to, over the last 12 or so years, 12 plus years, to see a lot of practices go from six figures on up to over seven figures and to multiple seven figures. I'm actually able to see that process happen, even participate in that process as the marketer, but to see what it takes and how it goes. And I found, if you ask me, I thought, okay, what do people need to have? Like, what do you have to have, right? And um, and it leads into a much bigger topic, which I'm going to cover in just a second. But I found there's kind of like four essential ingredients. If I had to list them out, like what are all these guys who do well? What do they have in common? What are they doing? And it's not just mindset or no, it's actually hardcore things, right? The first thing is they always have a high standard of care. um, we can always say the guy who chases all the money, blah 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 blah, but it has to start with that high standard of care. If you don't get a result for your patient, which really what that means, high standard of care means, do you get results? If you don't get results, after a while you get too many refunds, you get people who talk about how you're not no good, you're going to get some legal problems, right? At some point you just don't make it. So if your first priority has to be, what is the result that people are going to get? What is the standard of care that we provide? What's the newest thing? What's the most advanced thing we can do for guys? What can we get them? Like this, there's always new technologies, new ideas, and new techniques and things you got to stay up on. That should always be your number one priority, is getting the result for the customer, for the patient, right? That if you don't do that, then obviously you're a bit of a fraud. And you know it, and the world eventually figures it out, and it just goes nowhere. Okay, so that's an easy one. The second one is, once you've got good standards of care, you have to have well developed internal procedures. You have to have, like, this is how we do things, because this is how it works. When someone comes in, we do this. We walk off around the desk. We da 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 da. Right? We greet them so they feel welcome, so they're more likely to stay for care. Or when they pay, we always handle this way. Or when we document, we always document this way. Right? You've got to have not just ways you kind of do it loosely, informally. You've got to have formalized, and I'm going to tell you, written standards of care, procedures that get the standard of care. But also gets, it's not just about the standard of care, by the way. Too many guys will just worry about, they'll document just the delivery aspect of your business. Your business has a whole bunch of different parts that are not necessarily related to delivery. You've got finance, you've got marketing, you've got administration, hiring, firing, all that stuff, right? All the HR stuff. Every one of those functions needs to be listed out and have the procedures that work written down and established firmly for the business, that we can have other people follow and do it for you. If you don't do that, well, if you're the only one who knows how to do things, guess what? Then you're the only one who knows how to do things, and either you get really frustrated all the time with all the incompetent people you have around, or you teach them. And so if you can teach them, well, you teach them verbally is one thing, but probably teaching them verbally and also give them something in writing and show me examples, that works. Give people stuff in writing and they'll read it and reread it and reread it, and eventually they'll get it. So you've got to have these firmly established procedures based on what has worked in your practice, or you can actually kind of get good ideas from other practices. Colleagues and mentors are all coaches, and all these guys are consultants, are always passing this stuff out, right? So take those, adapt those for your use, and have firmly written policies and procedures for everything that moves in the business. Everything that moves, you want to have something like that written down for, right? Next is, and this is maybe a touchy subject. The third ingredient is, you've got to have good care acceptance, aka salesmanship. You have to change the mind of the people who come to see you. They come to you with hope you can help them, and you've got to get them to the point where they're like, okay, here's some money, I'm in. Call it sales, or because we're in healthcare, we'll call it care acceptance, but it's sales. It's the same thing. It's pick a sales guru, Grant Cardone or Zig Ziglar or whatever. It's, you've got to change somebody's mind to get them into the care that they need, right? And they got to trust you or understand you. You have to have the authority, whatever it is that actually adds up to them accepting care. If you cannot do this, then no matter how good your care is, they'll never get a chance to feel it, to understand it. It just won't happen. So don't let your entire business dead on the fact that you can't sell or close or whatever. There's millions. I'm telling you, so many courses and trainings and things. Closing and selling is not difficult. It's not that hard. It's just something you have to learn how to do. It's like any other kind of mental muscle. You just learn how to talk to people, ask what their problem is, talk to them back and forth, look them in the eye. I mean, just like do the thing, right? It's not that difficult, but it is something you do need to learn to master. And it's very hard to find any huge practice owners which aren't themselves actually kind of good salespeople, whether they started off that way or not. They ultimately did become good salespeople, and you need to become one as well, or at least have enough people who work for you who are good salespeople. It's all totally okay. Sales is a profession. It's a technical skill set that some people are really good at, and you want to find those people who are good at it and put them on it. But you also need to have that skill, whether you want it or not. But remember, sales starts with help. If you really, really want that person to get the help they need, the right words usually come out. That's been my experience. If you're like, yeah, I want to get you, Mrs. Jones, I really need to get you into this program. It's going to help you with everything you told me that's going on with you. It's just going to get worse if you don't. So then you start caring about them enough. It's amazing how the words just come out, and it becomes not sales. It's having a personal, desperate communication with the person to help them get the care they need, right? Which is what you want to do. All right. And the last thing is you have to have all three of these in, and then you need to have an effective marketing campaign, because inside your office is not enough people to support you, right? Referrals are good, but it's hard to grow or scale referrals. It's sort of catch as catch can, right? So marketing is how you take your communication and what you do and you tell the world. I firmly believe that if the people who are hurting out there knew who you were, knew where you were, and knew what you do, they would beat a path to your practice door. Don't you think so? Like if they just knew, if you just kind of broadcast, psychically out to the world, and everybody who was in pain, knee pain, sciatica, whatever, would know that you were the one who could help them, they would just come on in, right? Okay. Well, until we all develop the space mindset or whatever, um, marketing is how we do it, right? It's putting a communication from your business out into the world, into the people who need your help, and attracting them to come in. That's a good marketing program, and that's the last major ingredient that you need. There's a lot of other details on what I've just said here, but if you've got these four ingredients together, you will be able to make it work out. Now, that immediately leads to another problem, right? When I give these ingredients, it immediately leads to a question of, okay, so what do I do when? When do I hire the next person and teach them my procedures? When do I do the marketing program? When do I bring on the new service? When do I expand? What do I do? Right? Okay, that's a whole other topic. Good news for you. I actually have a whole webinar on this that I'm doing. It's basically about the formula for $1 million marketing practice, right? $1 million practice. And basically, I'm going to go over not just the marketing aspects, but the actual development and growth aspects of it. So it'll be when do you hire people at a certain size? When do you bring on the extra services? How do you market those? When do you write your procedures up? When do you like I give you based on not on my guess, by the way. This is not guesswork. This is my observation of scores, dozens, scores, hundreds, not quite hundreds, of other practices who have gone from 200,000 a year, 300,000 a year to a million plus, 2 million, somewhere at 3, 4, 5 million, right? So I've seen it happen. So I'm doing an entire presentation on how that works. So it takes just a little bit longer than this short video format here. So look for that somewhere around here or on my email address or whatever over on our website at thecustomerfactory.com. Ooh, I'll use that as a chance to push the little button here. There you go, customerfactory.com. Go over there. There's a link to the blog and our webinars, and all that stuff is there for free. You can always get that there. And of course, I'll put on there as a little scrolling thing with my email address on there. You can always email me a question or reach me through Facebook, of course, because I'm on Facebook all the time, Facebook Marketing Company. And I can help you out that way too. All right. So do that. Take those ingredients and then watch the next webinar too. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next little chat like this. Okay. Take care.